Hi, I'm Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 40 years. I'm going through the lessons this year asking Jesus for clarity, and then I'm writing from that clarity, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. We're looking at lesson 160. I am at home. Fear is a stranger here. Fear is a stranger to the ways of love. Identify with fear, and you will be a stranger to yourself. And thus you are unknown to you. What is yourself remains an alien to the part of you which thinks that it is real, but different from yourself. Who could be sane in such a circumstance? Who but a madman could believe he is what he is not and judge against himself? Talk about an identity crisis. We are made of love and light, and we exist in love and light. And yet we identify with the darkness. There was a TV show about a man who was a psychopath. He called the dark thoughts that compelled him to kill his dark passenger. We have a dark passenger too, and it compels us to judge and hate. In the show, this man compromised with the dark passenger. He did this by killing only those he deemed deserving of death. We try to compromise with our dark passenger by projecting the guilt onto those we judge. But we have come to identify with ourselves as our dark passenger. As Jesus says, we have become unknown to our true self, and that is clearly insane. 2. There is a stranger in our midst who comes from an idea so foreign to the truth, he speaks a different language, looks upon a world truth does not know, and understands what truth regards as senseless. Stranger yet, he does not recognize to whom he comes, and yet maintains his home belongs to him while he is alien now who is at home. And yet how easy it would be to say, this is my home. Here I belong and will not leave because a madman says I must. Just as the man in the TV show accommodated his dark passenger with compromises, we do the same. We live in fear as long as we bow down to the ego, and so we pray for less fear. All along, fear is a stranger in our mind. We need not accommodate it at all. It should be easy to turn from the ego. It is a belief outside the mind of God and thus does not exist at all. Why do we continue to allow it to make its home in our holy mind? Paragraph 3. What reason is there for not saying this? What could the reason be except that you had asked the stranger in to take your place and let you be a stranger to yourself? No one would let himself be disposed so needlessly unless he thought there were another home more suited to his tastes. Oh my goodness, we have done this to ourselves. The ego did not force its way into our minds, we invited it in. The idea of specialness was so enticing that we thought fear was a small price to pay. That was an error, but we don't need to keep the error going by making it over and over. We can return to our natural state at any time we want to. 4. Who is the stranger? Is it fear or you who are unsuited to the home which God provided for his son? Is fear his own, created in his likeness? Is it fear that love completes and is completed by you? There is no home can shelter love and fear. They cannot coexist. If you are real, then fear must be an illusion. And if fear is real, then you do not exist at all. The decision to seek for specialness was made such a long time ago that we have forgotten what we lost in the bargain. Jesus is reminding us that we are sons of God. And as such, fear must be a strange passenger indeed. He is also telling us that love and fear cannot coexist, so we must choose. And is it a choice at all? How can we choose not to know who we are? What a job it must be to maintain this absurd illusion. As Jesus says, if you are real, then fear must be illusion. And if fear is real, then you do not exist at all. Clearly, we exist, so fear cannot be real. Except this, an awakening is accomplished. 5. How simply then the question is resolved. Who fears has but denied himself and said, I am the stranger here. And so I leave my home to one more like me than myself and give him all I thought belonged to me. Now is he exiled of necessity, not knowing who he is, uncertain of all things but this, that he is not himself, and that his home has been denied to him. 6. What does he search for now? What can he find? A stranger to himself can find no home wherever he may look, for he has made return impossible. His way is lost, except a miracle will search him out and show him that he is no stranger now. The miracle will come, for in his home his self remains. It asked no stranger in, and took no alien thought to be itself, and it will call its own unto itself in recognition of what is its own. We put ourselves in an impossible situation in which we chose separation over oneness, and so our identity was lost to us. This choice made return impossible since we don't remember what we are. It would take a miracle to correct this, and luckily, the miracle is available to us. Now that we know what happened, we can call on the miracle and it will come. The self we are is not confused and has gone nowhere. That self will call us unto itself in recognition of what is its own. 7. Who is the stranger? Is he not the one is he not the one yourself calls not? You are unable now to recognize the stranger in your midst, for you have given him your rightful place. Yet is yourself as certain of its own as God is of his Son. He cannot be confused about creation. He is sure of what belongs to him. No stranger can be interposed between his knowledge and his Son's reality. He does not know of strangers. He is certain of his Son. 8. God's certainty suffices. Whom he knows to be his Son belongs where he has set his Son forever. He has answered you who ask, who is this stranger? Hear his voice assure you quietly and sure that you are not a stranger to your Father, nor is your Creator stranger made to you. Whom God has joined remains forever one, at home in him, no stranger to himself. Jesus is telling us very simply that we are not lost. We are what God created and nothing else. We are where he placed us, and so we are in him. We are not a stranger to our Father, and the ego has not changed that. Nor has the ego made God a stranger to us. What we are is still in place, in no way affected by this dream of separation. 9. Today we offer thanks that Christ has come to search the world for what belongs to him. His vision sees no strangers, but beholds his own and joyously unites with them. They see him as a stranger, for they do not recognize themselves. Yet, as they give him welcome, they remember, and he leads them gently home again where they belong. 10. Not one does Christ forget. Not one he fails to give you to remember, that your home may be complete and perfect as it was established. He has not forgotten you, but you will not remember him until you look on all as he does. Who denies his brother is denying him, and thus refusing to accept the gift of sight by which his self is clearly recognized, his home remembered, and salvation come. We're all going to awaken and remember what we are. We do this as we forgive the illusion and let it go, but we must forgive all of it. Each relationship must be healed, each ego belief undone. In chapter 18, Jesus says this, "Yet this you cannot know until every perception has been cleansed and purified, and finally removed forever. We will recognize ourselves as we recognize it in our brothers, and we won't do that if we hold grievances. It is in our best interest to spend this time here forgiving all that is not part of God." So thank you for sharing this lesson with me. And isn't it good news? If you found this helpful, then please like it. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with another lesson.